Hello, ISDS2000 regular classroom students. I know I normally don't send you the video messages that are made specially for you, but I did want to just touch base with you on something as we begin week 7. But of course, we'll be together very soon. What I really wanted to do is, as I say, define your success. I wanted to talk to you just about a couple of things really quick. First of all, your grades are posted for learning project number 2, and I felt like everybody did really well, especially on the chapter 5 combinations and permutations assignment. There was one area that seemed to give many people, not everybody, but many people difficulty with the chapter 6 stuff, and so I wanted to go back and talk about it. Now this is the first tab, and maybe I should have made this smaller so you can see that I'm on the Discrete tab, and most of you did very well with this, and so excellent. That is exactly the right thing to do, and hopefully this really helped you to organize and to create a template that would help you to solve these kinds of problems. And it's just a good idea to organize in this way, to create your mean, and then to go through and to calculate first variance and then of course standard deviation. Likewise, almost everyone did a great job on the binomial part, and Jenny recognized a problem which she brought to my attention, and I'm glad, because I'll correct this for the next go round. I think at one point I told you to enter in a value to B14 rather than B27, but it looked like everybody kind of worked through that and figured that out. So you got to calculate, and everyone was very successful in doing this. Your values for N, X, and P for a straightforward binomial. And then you were walked through the process of calculating a number of individual variables and values, right? So that ultimately you could calculate a cumulative probability, right? Because you just added up each of the individual probabilities that you had calculated. So a really good workout on binomials, and of identifying something as a binomial, finding the 3 critical variables that you need, solving, and then even taking that one step forward to a cumulative probability, binomial probability. So then we move over to hypergeometric. Couple folks fumbled on this, so let's just kind of walk through this very quickly. Here you have 4 variables. Many people struggle with hypergeometrics, but the gist here is that you need to know what is the overall population. And as you've read the problem, which I know you have, 150. How many am I going to draw out of that population? It looks like 40, right? Now, within the entire population, what is the opportunity for success? And I believe I was looking for satisfied customers, right? 75. Okay, but within my sample, which we've already said is 40, how many successes do I want? Well, I'm hoping to get 20. So you see how these two relate to the population, and these two relate to the sample. Again, the main part of this chapter is identify the kind of discrete probability, then write your formula, list your givens. And when I say list the givens, you're saying this variable equals this and this variable equals that. That's the key. If you've got that part right, it becomes easy. Of course, at that point, you just go up here, tell it that you're interested in doing a hypergeometric. Per the instructions, I'm going to just do the one that I had told you. So how many successes in the sample? We're looking for 20. The number in the sample, that would be 40. Population success, or I'm sorry, I said population success. See, I almost made a mistake. Population success and the total population, right? So just be 19, 18, 17, 16. And there you go. Okay, so again, once you identify what value goes into what variable, you're there. Of course, the first step is saying what kind of problem is it. Finally, the Poisson. This is the one that gave, I think, everybody a lot of difficulty. Here's the deal. On average, 50 customers will check out every 60 minutes. Now, what is mu? What is mu? Mu is the average, right? Mu is equal to the average. So if you understand that mu is equal to the average, if I say to you, how many times do you work out a week? Would you say, oh, the average is 1 week? No, you wouldn't say that. You would tell me I work out, let's say, 3 times a week. Oh, 3 times 7 days. No, you work out 3 times a week. I think what might have confused you here is that I spelled out mu, and that's simply because it's very difficult on the computer screen to put mu or x bar or anything like that. But you should recognize that. We've talked about those symbols quite a bit. So on average, 50 customers will check out every 60 minutes. So the time is inconsequential to me. It's the number of workouts. It's the number of customers, right? Now, what is the probability that 55 customers will check out in the next hour? Well, listen. A minute ago we were talking about customers. 50 customers will check out every 60 minutes. So we don't want to change and start talking about minutes now. Many of you put the minutes up here, right? And I've already explained that was wrong. Many of you put the minutes here. Okay, again, you're talking about customers up here. You cannot switch to start talking about minutes. Also, did you notice something? And this is talked about in your textbook. 60 minutes. Is this the same measure of time in the next hour? We have to make sure that our units of duration are the same. So in other words, if it's 1 hour, it should be 1 hour. If we're talking about months, we should talk about months, right? But how many successes do we want? Remember, X is a count of success. Well, we're interested in 55 successes. So once I get those two right, and if it's difficult, listen, I understand, and that's the point of this exercise, is to help you understand. It's why I'm reviewing it. You could use the other one, but I'm going for the old version here. So here's the X value. What is X? X is 55. I'm going to click down here where it says mean. How many are expected to check out in an hour? 50, right? Is it cumulative? No, it is not. We said we're working with discrete values. So there you go. Okay, so if you had trouble with this one, hopefully that helped a little bit. If you had trouble with the hypergeometric, hopefully that helped a little bit. Now, one final note. I'll give you a copy of this, but just so that you have it, in our class, if you log into Pause and if you go to the content area, 2 things that I'll point out to you as this comes up, hopefully one day. There it goes. One is that as you scroll down through this, and you've done a lot of work here, and I've collapsed some of this, you'll see Exam 2 instructions. Ignore this Exam 3. I've got that in the wrong order. If you can, I'll give you a copy of this in class, but Exam 2 instructions, you can click on that if you'd like, and you'll see, this is no surprise. There's no surprise element to it, that the exam will be October the 2nd. That's a little bit of an error. That should be October the 12th, beginning Friday, October the 12th through Sunday, October 14th, which is agrees with what's noted on your schedule and is also shown in the Connect system. As we always talk about, you'll finish that early. Goodness, also as we talk about, you'll have that one attempt, no retakes. Plan to sit down at a computer where you have reliable internet, where you have reliable where your computer's not going to reboot on you. I would suggest planning to take it Friday or maybe Saturday so that you have plenty of time, so that if a thunderstorm comes up, you say, well, you know what, I'm going to wait for that thunderstorm to pass so that I don't get struck by lightning, right? Okay. Once you begin, you know that you cannot stop the clock, so you're prepared to take it in a single sitting. You cannot stop the clock. So once you start, you have your notes previously organized, you've got your textbook there, you've got your calculator, or you've got Excel and maybe you've got it open and you've got your templates that you're ready to work with possibly, because you have 100 minutes. Now, if you've been practicing the homework, I think you can easily complete the exam within the 100 minutes, but it does take practice. You know, driving a car for you right now is probably second nature. You hit the turn signal, the brakes, the look in the mirrors, check your side mirrors. You don't even think about it. It's automatic. You can do an entire 20 problems of addition quickly because you've practiced. That's the point. That is the point. Okay? It gets easier the more you practice, and you have to go through it. There's just no way around it. Okay? So you're doing the homework, and when you sit down for the test, 10 questions randomly drawn from the homework. Each question is 5 points. There's always a trade-off here. We could have a fewer number of questions, but as you know, that would make the point value go up because your tests are 50 points apiece. So it's going to cover Chapter 5 and 6, and again, it comes from the homework. The password, which will be on the sheet that I'll give you, is success, because I really do wish you every success, and I really am making it possible for you to achieve that success. But remember my crossroads? You have to make that decision. So let me jump over here for a minute, if I can, to connect. Look at all these green bars. I'm so proud of you all. I really am. Because when I look at this very first green bar, remember that exam number 1, first of all, everybody participated and the class average was very high. And I know that the 8 people in the class did very well because there was, 8 people participating on each of these homework assignments, and they were doing really, really great. Look at all those 7 on that one, but look how high the average is, right? Now, as I continue and I start to look at Chapter 5, Part 1, I see only 4 students working. And now when I go to Chapter 5, Part 2, 4 students working. Chapter 5, Part 3, 3 students working. Chapter 6, 2 students have even started. Chapter 6, Part 2, 2 students. Chapter 6, Part 3, 1 student. Now, right now you do have some time, right? We've covered everything through binomials, and so I would think that you would definitely have finished Chapter 6, Part 1, and you should have at least attempted Chapter 6, Part 2. A little bit of time every day is going to make the difference. So don't delay. You still have time. You still have some time for the due date, but I'm just kind of sounding the gong to say I want to see those great results like I did last time on our exam number 1. The extra credit assignment will give you a template for success. Hopefully the feedback I gave you will help you a little bit there. The YouTube videos, as we've already talked about in class, if I went back to this content area, remember that the YouTube videos for Learning Project 3 deal a lot with binomials and hypergeometric, and one of them is me explaining hypergeometric, so you could go ahead and get started on that because it's what we're going to cover in class. And then also the Poisson videos. So, you've got lots of information there, including examples where an instructor uses their calculator, and you could follow along with the calculator. So there's all varieties of examples. There's one person that just has basically pen and paper, a whiteboard and a pen, and is solving the problem. So you could certainly do that with your own pen and paper at home, right? So don't delay. Get started. I think it's going to be even more crucial this time than ever before. Okay, so I won't wait for this to load because we'll see each other in class, but just kind of a reminder that this weekend I really need for you to get started and get busy so that that you realize the success that I know you're capable of. Good work on Learning Project number 2. Go out there, check the feedback, and we'll see you next week.